On that same patient, we looked at the upper arch, even though we weren't necessarily pointed in that direction, and we saw tooth number 4 erupting to the palatal and rotated 90 degrees. Still looking at number 4, we took a look at the angulation. So why would we take cone beams on children? Because the development, the growth, and the eruption patterns of teeth are quite important, and the radiation cost, when you think of 3 PAs or 3 bite wings, it's really very, very much worth it. Now let's move on a little bit to orthodontics. This is a Panorex image of a case I saw years ago when I first got my cone beam. And I noticed that I could not see what was going on in the lower anterior region other than the cuspid and the lateral appear to be crossing over each other. There's also an impacted cuspid in the upper, but that's not our concern. Clinically, what I saw was a tooth that looked like it had very little bone covering the facial aspect. And in fact, it got my attention, so I took a cone beam on a child at that point, even when I wasn't certain of what I was doing. Here's what I saw. The cuspid was not only pushing the limits of the bone, it had completely been extruded out of the bone. And the orthodontist doing the case did not know this. So I took a disc, made a disc of this image, sent it to the orthodontist, and advised him that I couldn't dictate treatment, but I wanted him to understand the nature of the issue that was developing so he could alter his treatment plan. Here's another case. We do a lot of Invisalign. We hear a lot about Invisalign today. So here's an adult that came into our practice, and he said, "John, can you straighten my lower front teeth?" And we talked about an Invisalign case. Well, normally we would evaluate the incisal widths of the teeth and look at the position of them, and maybe we would try to extract one and do some IPR. But evaluating the bony width, the bony housing, is more important at this point than the size of the crowns of the teeth. We determined through our cone beam that at the ridge crest, this bone is 4.3 millimeters where there's no tooth. Number 25 side expands the bone to 5.6 millimeters, again at the crest of the ridge. So we're now evaluating where the bone is the widest so that if we were to rotate or move a tooth laterally, we wouldn't violate the bony housing. Continuing with this patient, look at the apical third of the root, where the narrowest aspect of the bone is 2.9 millimeters buccal to lingual. Now that's a very narrow space. If we were to take a tooth and rotate it and it became wider than 3 millimeters, the chances are it's going to be moving out of the bony housing. Distal to number 25 is only 2.6 millimeters. It's even less. So do we want to move teeth toward number 25 or toward number 23? In the center of 24, the bone is 362. Now we're doing all of this evaluation, numbers, just as an orthodontist would do to evaluate the arch length for the teeth, only we're evaluating the bony width. To summarize, the crowding needs both an extraction and IPR, but moving or rotating the roots may cause a dehiscence, or it may simply move the roots out of the bony housing. So we evaluated and came up with a treatment plan to extract 25 and move 24 mesially into the extraction site, doing IPR on the rest and slightly rotating 22 and 27. We did this not based on just the clinical crowns, but on the bony housing, age of the patient, and what we consider to be a safe environment to do this without causing any negative clinical effects. Now, from the general dentist point of view, we look at these pictures all day long, two-dimensional, paraapicals, or Panorex images.